Welcome to the Mills Knows Bills podcast. My name is Mills Bender. I'm the founder and CEO of Mills Knows Bills, where we help you, variable income earners, master your money in 90 days. The point of this podcast is to help you make the most of your fluctuating income so you can stop living paycheck to paycheck, pay off your debt twice as fast, and get on track toward reaching both your personal and professional financial goals. Now, as I continue to grow my team here at MKB, you may have some guest hosts from time to time. However, our goal does not change. Whether we're bringing in a guest speaker, having an in-depth conversation about our personal finances, or talking about a topic that is of interest to you, our goal is to help you master your money. Welcome back to another episode of the Mills Knows Bills podcast. I'm your host as well as CEO of MKB, Mills Bender. And with me today, I have the hilarious Christian Wilson.
I don't know about hilarious, but hi, I'm Christian Wilson.
He's one of the other fractional CFOs on our team. And if you cannot tell, we're going to be probably cracking up today.
Probably a little bit, yeah.
Just a little bit. So on our podcast, we answer burning financial questions. And so we actually had a question submitted to us. And so we're going to kind of talk back and forth. Chloe from Day of Socials, our go-to marketing guru. What is our question for today?
Why is my pricing strategy hurting my bottom line, and how can I improve?
Okay, so the question was, why is my pricing strategy hurting my bottom line, and how can I improve it? Christian, why is my pricing strategy? I'm kidding. Okay, all right.
It's a nice try, though. I mean, I'm sure staring at my face, you'll crack up enough times. Why is your
pricing strategy
hurting your bottom line?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably because you're not being competitive with your prices.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably underpricing yourself.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you want to provide lowball offers in order to try to gather up business.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times that can hurt you. It can hurt you with your actual business because you're not going to be bringing in enough revenue.
Yeah.
And then it can hurt you on the other side because if you're too low, it can give the impression that you're not as good.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is when you stated your pricing strategy, you're lowballing. I think a lot of times business owners will think that they're not getting as many bids because they're too high. In fact, just yesterday, I was speaking with one of my clients who he thought he was too high. In fact, months ago, we were talking about how he should be increasing his quotes. And his response was, I'm already too high in comparison to the competition. And I asked, well, how do you know? He goes, because I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting any bids. And yesterday we had our quarterly meeting and he said, so I got some inside information with one of my previously best clients that I've not gotten any of the bids because I was the lowest.
That'll do it.
The lowest. And so the new person who's choosing these jobs looked at my bid in comparison to everyone else's and thought, well, if this person's the lowest, then they must provide the least quality of work.
Yeah. I mean, it comes across. I mean, think about it. You going into a store, you see the cheapest and you think it's probably the cheapest. You're not going to get the best pair of shoes when you're only spending $10. You want the higher end shoes that are going to be $75, $100, $150 because they're going to last you. They're going to provide you a quality product. And that's really what you're looking for.
Yeah. Perception.
Absolutely. Perception is a big part of it. But you're just not going to get that chance if you are constantly providing that low offer. You need to be competitive with everybody else. You need to be constantly doing that market research to make sure that you're competitive with everybody else. And you don't want to be the lowest. You want to be the best cost.
I think a lot of times when you and I talk about, pricing strategy, we know what we're talking about, right? But our listeners might not, and so when it comes to starting the pricing strategy, where can somebody even start with that research?
Online. Start doing research online, see what you can find just doing a simple Google search. Call your competitors.
Yeah.
Actually call your competitors and start asking them questions about where they're at. A lot of them will
answer.
They'll talk to you. A lot of competitors they're not your enemies. They're just your competitor.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're not willing to have a conversation and help you with your business.
Yeah. You can also look at Yahoo Finance or Bloomberg and look at the financials for those companies that are publicly traded that are in your same industry. And yeah, they might have quite a few extra zeros at the end, but if you look at everything on a percentage basis, you can work backwards to figure out what their average sale is or what their profit margins are. And it gives you a target of what your profit margin should be per project.
Something to work towards.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the best things is because then you'll see where you might be performing well in comparison to companies that are good enough to be publicly traded versus, maybe areas of improvement that you get to make.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Chloe, are there any follow-up questions that you feel like we should answer in this episode regarding pricing strategy, improving bottom line?
Well, there's one about running out of money during slow seasons.
Yeah. So if
Want to know the full question?
Yeah. Go for it.
The full question is, why do I keep running out of money during slow seasons, and what can I do?
So why do I keep running out of money in slow seasons, and what can I do to prepare? So tying that question into the first part of pricing strategy, if you already are not having enough profit margin, it's going to make your slower seasons that much more painful.
Or impossible.
Or impossible. Yeah. So what would you suggest to somebody who has cyclical slow seasons in their business?
If you already know, for one, you need to figure out what is your slow season. You need to figure out when you're going to have those lulls in revenue. That's the first step is to figure out how often and how long, but then prepare for it. Start adding that to either your emergency fund or to another account where you are going to be able to supplement your income during those slower seasons.
I agree. And I think we talked about this in a workshop recording we did recently. We were talking about not just preparing for that slow season, knowing when it is, looking at your profit and loss and having the savings, but if it's an industry-wide slowdown, right? If everybody is slow during the summer months, including your competition, what are you doing differently to make sure that you come out on the other side of it stronger than your competition? A lot of times I've noticed that business owners will stop investing in marketing because they don't have the extra cash, or they have to fire people during their slow seasons because they've not properly set aside the savings. So the savings part will fix both of those problems. But personally, my favorite thing to do during slow seasons is to be strategic in hiring. In fact, I hired you and Jen and Gallo. I hired everybody during my slow season, knowing that I was going to have that lull, allowing me to fully train you guys as to the MKB methodologies. Now we're coming out of the slow season and we're picking up steam and everybody is ready for it, right? And so as a business owner, it's not just saving yourself financially from that lull, but it's also how do you leverage the most of that time during that lull?
Well, even the advertising you brought up, sometimes you need to double down on that advertising. If you're finding that you're getting a rate of return that's worthwhile with your advertising, don't scale back on the advertising during the slow months. Like double down on it. Yeah. Invest more in the advertising and start trying to get the market share that's out there during that slow season over your competitor.
Yeah, because your competitor probably didn't financially save for that double down on marketing. If you did, then you can afford to do that.
Absolutely.
One of our quick sidebar, one of our clients who does residential generator installation in Louisiana, he got a call from his competitor after a hurricane recently hit because their response time was faster for improvements. Nice. So they're coming out of a slow season because now we're in the peak of hurricane season, right? Now they're in that high season, but they doubled down on their marketing during the first quarter of this year when everybody was slow. So when peak season came up, they were the second or third name on the list to call. And although they weren't the top name on the list, because they also had great systems and processes, they took the time to establish SOPs in the first quarter, train their new people. They were first to respond. And now they've increased their market share significantly in their area.
Well, this even goes back to reaching out to your competitors, right?
Yeah.
This, reach out to ask your competitors questions, establish relationships with your competitors, because there's especially in blue collar, there's times where one company gets too busy and they need to be able to suggest somebody else. If you're developing relationships with your competitors, then they're just as likely to refer you business as that marketing campaign is.
Yeah, I agree. And who's to say that there's not a rev share opportunity available in that? It's a great way to diversify as well. So pricing strategy, slow seasons. Is there anything else that you feel like we should answer on this episode?
I don't know. I feel like that was pretty good.
I do too.
Yeah,
I agree.
We can just babble for a while if you want to, but
we'll save that for the next
one. Okay,
yeah.
Well, fine.
So if you're a business owner, blue collar or white collar, and you are struggling with your pricing strategy, you feel like your profit margin is incredibly low, or you just don't even know how to read your profit and loss statement to identify that. Or maybe you're going through a slow season and you don't know how to get off of that insanity cycle of making money, slowing down, having to fire everybody you just hired, making money, slowing down. Reach out to Christian at millsknowsbills.com. Send him an email, set up a consultation call with him, no strings attached. We just want to help you.
Absolutely.
We want to answer your questions and get you started. But with that said, thank you for joining us on this episode. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.